Hey, welcome, Facebook friends. I'm so excited about today. I am here with my good friend, Lars Hedenborg, and let me tell you, this guy is second to none. Personally responsible for helping my brokerage when I ran a brokerage just do massive production. And now I'm so honored and blessed to be able to call him a partner here with EXP. And man, Lars, how are you doing today?
Man, I'm doing really well. It's been a whirlwind over the last 4 or 5 months or so. Just getting into this world, and with your love and support, and everyone at EXP, it's been super amazing. The collaboration and all of it's been awesome. But it is a whirlwind for sure.
Wow. Well, I'm so happy that you're here, and I speak for the company. I mean, we are just honored to have you here with us, Lars, and just the value that you bring and the heart for truly wanting agents to succeed, because that's what it's about, right?
Yep.
So awesome. So Lars, I want to ask you a couple of questions, and I'm sure a lot of people are excited to hear what you're going to say, because so many people see you as just the top of the industry, right? Like, you're Lars. I mean, when I think of it, it's like, that's the guy, but you had to start from somewhere. So can you tell me, why did you get into real estate? What was your reasoning to choose this profession?
I mean, it really was an issue of freedom. When I look back on, I had a corporate career, and I would have gone straight to the top of the company that I was with. I just didn't see, investing 20 years into a sort of a corporate environment was going to give me any kind of freedom whatsoever. There's a guy that I knew that made it his way all the way to the top of a multi-billion-dollar company, and he just had to move his family, and so it wasn't something that I saw myself doing. And so the biggest reason I got into real estate, I was an investor, and so I sort of got a feeling for what it was about, and I just wanted more freedom. I wanted my efforts every day to dictate the money that I earned, and for me to have a little bit more control of my location. I traveled 250,000 miles in a single year in an airplane,
Wow.
which, if you don't travel a lot, it's like 2,500 miles to LA from where I live. And so that's 5,000 miles. And I did basically 50 of those trips in a single year. So my life wasn't my own. And so I got into real estate, and I quickly learned that my life wasn't my own. And so I sold 27 homes in my first 10 months and 44 homes in my first full year. And so I was
44 homes your first year.
My first full year, yeah, 2008. And it was instantly 7 days a week. And so I got a little bit of leverage with a part-time assistant. It just wasn't the traditional success. So you mentioned, success when you introduced me. Traditional success in our industry is really, really hard. So being a top agent, selling a lot of homes, you are working 7 days a week. You are working evenings. And so really, we had our first child in November 2007, a couple of miscarriages, our second child in April 2010. I accepted Christ as like the thing I'm going to follow in 2009. And so all of that was happening around really getting my priorities straight, and making sure that I didn't have regrets in the areas of life that mattered most to me. And that's what took me on the journey to build a business, that provided high-level services to buyers and sellers, and me not do every bit of it myself.
I just get chills hearing you speak, Lars, and I know everyone that's watching is feeling the same way. But we've got to go back to that 44 homes your first year, because we know 86% of new agents don't make it. So how was that for you starting out and selling 44 homes your first year, which is not typical at all?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was real clear on, there's only like 3 or 4 things that make a real estate agent money. And it's figuring out how to generate leads at an affordable, where you can actually make money on it. And then doing the lead follow-up and putting lead management systems in place, and then having conversations with, would-be buyers and sellers. And that's all I did for like 3-4 years. And so if I wasn't doing those activities, when I hired my assistant, when I got something under contract, I was just like, you deal with it. If it closes, it closes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm totally okay with that. 9 out of 10 of them closed. Maybe one had some issues, but I didn't get involved in anything past the point of writing a contract. And agents spend a lot of their time doing things that aren't making them the kind of money that they want. And I made a declaration in 2008. I think I made like probably 20, 30 bucks an hour that year, net, that I was going to make $250 an hour in real estate. And it took me about 5 years to do it. And then I changed it to 500. It took me about 5 years. And then I changed it to 1,000. And I'm sort of doing that now. But I just made a commitment that most of, if I wanted to make the money I wanted, working the hours that I wanted, and be free from some of the stress of real estate, that I had to do things a little bit differently.
Wow. I love that. Thinking different, right?
Yeah.
Sure. So here you are, Lars, now. Man, we're walking through this journey fast, and it's great. You get into real estate, you know the right things to do, you're figuring it out, you're putting a value on your time, and you're making your family a priority as well through this, right? And figuring out, how do I get more time back while I'm making money with my time? How challenging is that? Or did it take you longer to figure that out?
Yeah, it took me a bunch of years there in the beginning to be able to create the margin in my schedule to make my family a priority. Like, you know how we say like God first and then family and then work. And then when you actually look at your calendar, it's like, man, you work a lot, and then you have a little bit of time left over for the family. And then do you even like crack the Bible or pray ever?
Wow.
So we like to say what the priorities are. It took me, the last transaction that I did was 2012. Out of the 4,000 families served or so, I did about 220 transactions personally. And so it was really 2011, 2012 that I was able to kind of go from 7 days to 5 days to 4, 3, 2, 1. But then, of course, I launched a completely separate business, and I ramped back up in terms of being in the weeds a little bit. But that business was a little bit more manageable. It was, business coaching. So it wasn't as your clients aren't calling you in the evening, and they're not, kind of bothering you on the weekends. But it wasn't easy. I broke a lot of promises with my wife. She still tells stories of our, I have pictures of me on the phone while I'm feeding my son Anders, or on vacation where I'm working a deal. And literally I worked this deal. It fell apart. It's in the neighborhood I live in now. It was, a doctor that was buying a home that walked away because the market was slipping back then. So yeah, it wasn't, it was definitely, we talk about good, bad, ugly. There was a lot of bad and ugly during that time, but that's what motivated me to show others how to do it. And even if you don't want to build a big team, there are leverage points that you can employ in your business to stop doing the things that make you no money. There's people in your market that will gladly do 80% of what you do for like 15, 20 bucks an hour. Yeah. And unless you want to make 15, 20 bucks an hour, you have to stop doing those things. And so that was sort of like, that's the mindset that I took. And then I just translated that into Real Estate B School.
So here you are now running one of the top teams in the nation, very successful, right? Priorities are more balanced as you were going along. And then you make a change now to EXP, what was missing? What was the draw that made you say, hey, everything's great. Like, I've got this set up, we're crushing it, but now I'm moving to another company, EXP.
Yeah. And I think when I look back on, clearly I had heard of EXP. There were people that were really close to me. AJ Maida being one of them. I was coaching him at the time. He transferred his license over to EXP. I think I was one of the first people that he told, and I shamed him. And I'm like, I've never heard of it. It's going to be a distraction. He's like, well, we'll see. I'm going to try it. I'm already committed. And, his story is just an awesome story. And he's
amazing guy. I love AJ.
And he's leading me in this journey now that we're partnered together. And I've got John Mikish, who is a client of mine who I'm partnered with as well. But when I look back on my journey, there was only so much impact that you can have. If you're a builder, like let's say you're attracted to building businesses, you're going to be attracted to building EXP. It just, you go away from your local market And now it's like this infinite game. There's this book called Infinite Game, where having a real estate team it's satisfying. You're impacting the lives of your team members. It is stressful. I was down to 1 day a week in that business, and it was still stressful, 6-figure monthly overhead. It's a stressful path. And there's just more freedom for me to still add tremendous amount of value for those that join me in this part of my journey, and not have to just be isolated to a single market. I haven't counted the states that I'm in, but I'm sure it's like 10 or 12 states already, 4 months into this journey. And, there's 10 times the people in my organization than was on our real estate team. And this is only a few months in, and I'm directly able to impact those folks and lead them through a different journey where we just, I don't want to launch into the whole, there's still a lot of people closed off to EXP. I get it. I was there. There's no greater conversion around EXP than me. And the thing that I realized ultimately, this is just a brokerage.
Yeah.
You could argue that it's not as strong or stronger than another brokerage. If you are if you have a visceral reaction to the word EXP, or when you see people post about it and it annoys you like it did me, you need to just think about where that's coming from. It could be like, hey, I don't like multi-level marketing, and I think it's that. I don't like how everyone's crazy about it. The truth is that every brokerage is seeking growth.
Yeah.
Like, you take a traditional brokerage model, they have highly paid people that are working 60 to 70 hours a week that are recruiting every agent they possibly can talk to in the local market. Yeah. And the only difference here is that EXP, they didn't create network marketing. They didn't say, hey, let's let the people using our product introduce it to other people. If there ever was an opportunity for network marketing, it would be in an industry where realtors are naturally networkers. Yeah. And so now we have the ability to share EXP if we think it's legit, and we get paid through revenue share to do it. And on top of that, you have 5 ways to earn stock, and the tools and the technology and the healthcare and the culture. And it's just got an energy and a collaboration that, I've generally been brokerage agnostic. So in Real Estate B School, we will coach, if you're running your business independent or with any boutique brokerage or any of the big box brokers, totally cool. All of our tools and systems work. There may be, for some that see the opportunity and they're willing to share this opportunity with folks, the potential for leveraged income, like truly residual income in this world, it's like nothing we've seen before. And if you're like closed off to it and it pisses you off to hear that, and just calm down for a second, reach out to me. We'll talk about it. I feel like now that I've seen it, at least I need to make sure people understand it because I didn't understand it. I had never looked at it, which was surprising. Well, not really, because I'm never the first guy to launch into something. I'm always the last guy to tell you to switch CRMs or, to try this new lead source. I'm like, let other people try it for a year and then talk to 5 people, so it worked out the way that it was supposed to work out. I don't think I would go back in time and join when it was sort of just kind of operationalizing. And I'm glad that you guys have all your blood, sweat, and tears in building this thing. And now I get to step into the Lamborghini and just say, hey, listen, this is Lamborghini. And it even costs less than the Ford you're paying for over there. Yeah. Like, it's not a sell. It's not recruiting. You just let people know you're in it, and they're going to be intrigued. They're going to be attracted to you because of the shift that you've made.
Well, you've impacted my life, Lars, even before, you coming to EXP, when you coached me with my independent brokerage. So I've always respected you, and thank you for, what you do and how you pour into agents and how passionate you are to make sure that agents are succeeding. It's you get me so excited. I love spending time with you and getting into chats. We're wrapping up here now, and I want to ask you the last question that I really like people to hear, because we're gonna have a lot of people, thousands of people that see this, and some agents, are at that point where maybe what they're doing is not working. Maybe they're new and they haven't gotten their first sale yet, and they're just about to call it quits. This isn't for me. What is some advice that you can give everyone that's watching that might be at that crossroad to keep going And was there a time that you were in a position like that and there was something that helped you?
Man, that's like a 2-hour answer. Let me figure out how to, I'm going to answer it in two ways. One personally and one professionally. So professionally, you need to be really honest with yourself about where you're spending your time. The advice I would give someone who's not generating the kind of sales they need to do enough transactions to allow themselves to live a certain lifestyle. If you audit your time, you will discover that you're spending your time not doing dollar productive activities. Real estate B school, we have 8 lead gen levers. They're sort of turnkey lead gen levers. You got to pick 1 or 2 at a time and go super deep. Every one is good for 50 transactions. People just try a little bit. Focus on dollar productive activities. That's professionally. And it doesn't take a lot of time to turn it around. Do the activities that other agents won't do, right? A 2-year agent in our industry on average makes $9,300 gross.
Wow.
Gross. The average agent makes about $42,000 gross. 16-year veterans make $72,000 gross before expenses, before brokerage splits. So we're so blessed to be in an industry where you can knock down $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 paydays and sell 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 of those a month. And with the right leverage, systems, technology, marketing, you could do it working less than 50 hours a week. So that's the business advice I would say. On the personal side, make sure you're not one-dimensional. So there's no amount of money or transactions, or as salespeople, we tend to, and I don't consider myself a salesperson, but salespeople tend to let their ego get in the way, and being a top agent, or focusing on your business and that being how you value yourself in the world, you'll let your marriage go. You won't have a relationship with your kids. Your spiritual journey will fall flat, or you get off track. Your physical body, your emotional wellness. So make sure you're succeeding in all the areas of life that matter to you, because there's nothing like, just think how complicated your life will be if you have a divorce, or think how complicated life will be if your kids aren't led, where you want them to be, or if you neglect your physical body. How complicated will your life be if you have a stroke, right? And you're debilitated, or if you have a heart attack and you die and you leave your family with no financial security. So that's the hardest thing, the whole urgent, important conversation, focusing on the things that are not urgent. Really important. Like working out. I didn't feel like working out today. Another day. I posted the last one on Facebook today. Toughest morning I've had. I'll get emotional. Toughest morning I've had in a long time, just with some personal stuff we have in the family with my daughter. And it was like, should have been a 30-minute morning. It was a 3-hour morning. And I'm like, I had the time. I had missed my window for working out, but I did the workout, because I know that me taking care of my physical body is more important than me jumping into work. And that was a tough decision for me to make, because I really didn't have an hour to give away. And I'm like, F it. I got to do this workout. It's going to give me energy for the day. My head wasn't right coming out of that morning. So just make sure you're tending to the areas of life that matter the most, and just slow down. 60 minutes a week, just take a clarity break and just think about your life. What's working, what's not working. That was a lot for a little bit of time, but
that was really powerful though, Lars. And I would tell you, I don't know if anybody else needed to hear that, but I did.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you for sharing that, and being vulnerable with that, of the personal things that are going on. Lars, I'm so glad to call you a friend.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, you've been such a blessing to me in my journey here, and the support. And, I know I've been reaching out to you at times where you're supposed to be with your family, and you've been always, super receptive. And I just really appreciate it, because this is a new world for me. It's a big pivot for me, and there's a lot of insecurity around it, and just getting my feet firmly planted and knowing what is going on in this world, and the momentum that you guys have built in the 3.5 years since, really 4 years since it really took off. I mean, it's just unbelievably awesome. Truly the Netflix of real estate, a leapfrog in terms of what was going on before this.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show today, and everybody watching. This is a Tuesday show that I do just to talk to a mega agent or team leader that can help us a little bit, right? It's all about about rising each other up. And thank you so much. And we'll see everybody next Tuesday. I hope everybody has an amazing week.